Hello, everybody. It is your Professor Rocco, you boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this class, we'll be going over god models. Are they worth it? I'll be honest, most of the times, probably yes, but bear with me. But before we get into that, bear with my dog Petey. Don't forget to like and subscribe, help the channel grow, help us teach new players. We've had great testimonials of people messaging me saying we've helped them learn for competitive play, fun, and you don't want my dog to be sad, do you? Do you? You monster. Anyway, what is a god model? Let's just define what we're talking about here real quick. They're generally hero units that are super powered because they've got great rules. They're generally a lot of points. They could be like 300-ish to almost 1,000 points is a big range here. Examples are like the newly ascended god Morathi and the false god Teclis. I say that because I'm a Deepkin player and he knows what he did. And we're going to get on to our first thing here. This is Archaon the Everchosen. Not necessarily a god, but has the powers to fight off gods in service of the dark gods, though he won't pick a side. It's a whole thing. But more importantly here, ignoring the lore, what is this? This is an 800 plus point model, depending on when the points get adjusted. Closer to 9. That is a wizard, a great hammer unit. Remember, we're defining hammers as our aggressive units that go out and just dish out the punishment. Archaon can go into a bunch of factions. We Slaves to Darkness, Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch. Slaanesh even sees a little bit of play. And this is a model that can win games on its own, in all honesty. The problem is you will lose games if he is just left on his own because it's one singular model with a humongous pie plate of a base, right? But only one model can control one objective, and Age of Sigmar at the end of the day is a game of objectives, so you need other stuff to hold other points. So the way you win as Archaon is he kills everything. The way you lose playing as Archaon is they kill everybody else, the other 1,100-ish points of your army that you needed to hold the objectives. So is Archaon worth it? Hell yeah. The big stompy monster that scares the poop out of people. Kairos Fateweaver. Again, not really a god per se. Talking about like the 300 to 400, 500-ish points range, depending on how GW wants to feel on the day. Great wizard. Again, we're looking for more lower points here with Kairos. An amazing once per game ability to change a dice roll. That may sound funny that I said it's such a great ability, but let's say someone rolls a charge, right? You can change one of those dice to make sure they fail it, and then your army is safe. That can stop a single model like, say, Archaon from functioning. Can't win the game if you can't kill stuff. Kairos is good in a couple fractions. Tzeentch itself, as well as Legions of the First Prince, which we'll talk about that bell end later. Compared to other god models, we're cheaper. We're definitely on the cheaper side. Problem is, Kairos loves to get shot by people. And he's a bit of a bullet magnet there. He'll take the heat because the spell on its War Scroll, where you can kill models, do d6 mortal wounds, or so it goes with how he gets bracketed. But you kill models and you create a chaos spawn. Is amazing. Usually you see him paired up with like a spell portal to expand his range. Great model for this god level ability. It also has great abilities for casting and dispelling, where you roll the dice and then you, whatever the highest dice is, you change your dice to that. It's very tricksy, very great support piece, which is why Kairos is here. And I support Kairos Fateweaver. Now, the other one, the Belen, the B-Lacker, because I never call Be'lakor by his actual name, because I don't respect him. Be'lakor here has one really good trick, which is at the start of your opponent's hero phase, until the next hero phase, you pick one of their units that's on the table, and you make it so that if you roll, I believe it's a 3-up now, your opponent can't do or act in that phase. Uh, which is great, except people can plan around that very, very easily in list building, and also with deep striking and ways to put units in reserve. Be'lakor is a one-trick pony that can be a little bit of a crutch. He's good in his own faction, the Legion of the First Prince, mostly because he can pass off wounds to basic demon units that are around him. So at the same time, Be'lakor is going to do great, and he's okay in combat. The problem is that, you know, it's like I can't read it, man, where he's going to kill your own army for you by keeping himself alive. His great summoning, which is great because in his own sub-faction, he can summon any of the different types of demons. So you just summon in pink horrors over and over and over again. But, I just can't read it. And that, what is he doing? So is he worth it at the end? I don't like him. He's good in his sub-faction, and he's an okay ally. People rate him very heavily. I just don't necessarily think he does enough. But he's still good. People are still going 4-1 and 5-0 with him. But I feel it's more on the strength of his supporting characters than him himself, We're going to get into now we've done chaos enough. We're going to get into the order gods. This is Morathi. Both of them. We got the Shadow Queen and then Morathi Kane in a little bit there. So I love Morathi in the sake that they have a rule where between the two of them, they've got a pool of 12 wounds, right? And they can only take 3 wounds a player turn. So this model is, and also doesn't really, the big one doesn't really bracket that much, which is very important for me. And it just, they're hammers. They're hammers. They're great. They're 2 individual models. Currently, they're like 600-ish, almost 700 points. With the winter FAQ coming, they're probably going to go up a little bit. Great command ability. Great spot for the points that they're at. And what more people need to do is utilize that the Morathis can only take a combined 3 wounds. If the little one isn't in combat fighting, you're losing out on a bunch of attacks. They're great screens for your army because if someone has to come in on a Morathi, you can't kill them to move them out of the way, and they can only take 3 wounds a turn. So if someone like me with Living City were to go against them, I'd shoot the Morathis, I do my 3 wounds, and then I can't do anything else to them. So then I'm screwed. And probably like 10 inches away from the next nearest thing I need to be because they've screened me out. And more people need to be more aggressive with them. So Morathi, definitely worth it. Teclis, the false god himself, for my Deepkin brethren. Honestly, the best or second best caster in the game, depending on who you ask. Teclis is all about synergies, about using all the spells and all of the spell lore for the Lumineth Realm Lords to just be an annoying jerk. Really, that's what he does. He just empowers everybody around him. He does decent magic damage. I wouldn't bet on him in a fight. I wouldn't. But we give out like spells to give up a 5+ ward save to your troops. Giving bonuses to casting and unbinding, to redirecting enemy spells that come in back onto their casters, and give them D3 mortal wounds of damage. Teclis is 700-ish points of a support piece, but because of his special rules with casting, including a once per turn auto unbind too, not per game like the Stormcast Eternals one, per turn, Teclis is a very strong piece. I personally kind of want his points to go up, just so that more options in that wonderful Realm Lords book can shine. I don't think that's going to happen. And Teclis is a really good take. Is he a must take? I'm going to say probably like, he's got some builds that are really good. Usually him and 40 to 50 Sentinels. Do you have to build that way? No, the book is huge. Is it really, really, really good? Yes, and that's what I recommend to students of mine if they want to succeed in tournaments, is take Teclis. As much as I hate to say it. Lord Kroak. So Seraphon here. Not actually a god in the lore, but my god, Lord Kroak might as well be. We can get insane bonuses to cast from the different things in the Seraphon book. Kroak can just throw out mortal wounds left, right, and center, board wide, spells and unbinds. So where Teclis was the supporty bit, Kroak also has abilities to cast through certain skink heroes to extend his range like a poor man's spell portal. And it's just where Teclis was more supportive, Kroak can be offensive. Kroak's popularity has waned in the competitive circle because he has an interesting healing and death mechanic where you add up the wounds Kroak has taken and you roll 3 dice, and that if that exceeds a certain number, Kroak just disappears off the board. He hits the emergency eject button and flies off. The thing is, there are units in Seraphon called Temple Guard that will take wounds for him if they're close enough to him. So you can move Kroak up to the board with, like, let's say a unit of 5 or 10 Temple Guard, get in range of all your spells, and just absolutely nuke people. And for at least 2-3 turns, you're gonna get your points worth out of Kroak easily. If not, if he doesn't just survive the whole game, you just have to build for Kroak in order for him to be successful. And I'd honestly say he's worth it. Do you need Kroak? Is he an auto take? No. No, he's not. A bunch of salamanders or a bunch of Bastiladons and an engine of the gods, depending what build you're going, are more auto takes than Kroak. But Kroak is still a very good piece and deserves his place as a scary godlike creature. Next, we have Alarielle the Everqueen, goddess of the Sylvaneth, traitor to wood elves everywhere. She's a hammer. The beetle does most of it. She has a new, like an insta-kill ability on one of her melee attacks for her herself, which is cool. Good healing. Good magic, not great. She can summon units, which is great. She's more expensive than Morathi at the moment. I don't agree with it. But the thing is, she summons once per game about 200-ish points of a unit. It could be like 20 Dryads, 10 Tree Revenants, a unit of Kurnoth Hunters, a Tree Lord. And that offsets the cost, which then, you take off that many points. Like, oh, okay, this is a good hero. And also, if you take her in Living City, my beloved home, she has a great long-range shooting attack, which would allow her to double move. Because in Living City, it's you shoot, you pick a unit with one of your heroes that had shot in the shooting phase, and because they're within range of that hero, you spend a command point, and they can move again, make a normal move. So she can cover the board and be wherever you want to be. So she's got play. She used to be a lot worse. She's gotten a lot better. She's got play. She isn't an auto-include, but she does a very good job for being a hammer and like a support caster. So, tentatively worth it. Next, Team Stormcast. So why I got this slide here, because this isn't necessarily the slide of what I'd say would be a god beings. Stormcast are designed to be demigods, and their head honcho heroes are designed to really embody that. They're like an inch short in the race of being a full god themselves. They're all around 300-ish points, give or take 20. They all have really good abilities for what they do. Bastion with his all the stuff he does for Hammers of Sigmar, with his call down a lightning bolt in the shooting phase to do a bunch of mortal wounds. The Celestin Prime has the ability to like auto pass a 12-inch charge. Has a great mortal wound scepter attack. The Andrasta hates monsters and takes them down a peg. They all have ward saves, which is great. They're very good at what they do. They don't push the boundary to be gods on their own right, but they're here. you have two of them in your list. They feel like you have a god model of your own on the table, which is why they're here. Next, the Mega Gargants. So I just have the Sons of Behemoth book because all the different megas. I've already done a video on this. The how to Gargant with how to play as them and how to beat them. But the cool thing about Mega Gargants is, it could be 35 wounds with a bunch of abilities. They feel like you're playing a God Beast. You generally have 3 to 4 of them in a list. Maybe you have 2 in a bunch of the Man Crushers, but you feel like you're playing with gods and you're smashing puny humans as you play the game. That's why I've included them in this list. And importantly here, you can get them as mercenaries. So every faction, it could be Night Haunt, Flesh Eater Courts, if you're following the Bill Sousa stuff for all the tournament play in North America right now. Any faction can have access to a god level character in a Mega Gargant mercenary. And I feel they need their explanation here. They're great for how many wounds they are, to how expensive they are points wise. They're survivable. If you're not taking the named ones and you're just playing a Sons of Behemoth, it's very easy to get them to be 40 wounds with a 5-up ward save, with a 4-up regular save that you can all out defense and throw a Mystic Shield on. And all of a sudden, this competitive meta that we're in right now is how do you kill a Mega Gargant a turn? And you don't get the meta to target you like that unless you've got some respect to put on your name here as this arisen god beast creature, which is why they're in the list. Kragnos. Alright. He's a known dragon hater, so we hate him on this channel. He's very good versus dragon and things with Stormcast dragon creature keywords. He's got a cool charge mechanic. He's a melee hammer. That's nice. It's a lot of points for someone that doesn't fly. He can do a lot of mortal wounds, I guess. He's not a dragon. He just kind of sucks the air out of the room when he comes in for me. But he is a god, the god of earthquakes. So he's got to be on the list. Is he worth it? I still think it's too soon to know. Because he could be screened out if we go into like a horde meta. So he just can't walk where he needs to walk. There's a spell you can cast on him to make him fly, I guess, but I don't think anyone's actually really done that. He's great in the Mega Gargants. I'll tell you that much. Do I recommend him? His model's still really cool. I don't think he's like a top tier competitive thing, but there's room, especially with like points changes. If he goes down a little bit, that'll just nudge him to just being like perfect, and he's just that close. It's like the Alarielle thing. He's like so close to being a must take instead of just being like a cool model that does good stuff. And now we're on to Gordrakk. I don't know why my thing glitched, but it did. So now we're on to Gordrakk here. And that's just how much my computer doesn't like Kragnos. So Gordrakk, the named Maw Crusher hero for the Iron Jaws. He's supposed to be a god level dude. He's a great hammer. He's on a dragon, so I'm already liking him more. The problem is the unnamed Mega Boss on Maw Crusher can get a command trait, can get artifacts, and can be better. So as a god level hero monster thing, he's good. It's just the regular version of him is a little bit better at the moment because, and that's the difficult part of this is like where do points balance out and how do you give them abilities to do more things. I like the generic one. I do. It's just like he's fine, and then you've got like this objectively better thing just coming up at you. Next is Nagash, Supreme Lord of Big Hats. I'm memeing a little bit, but actually should be the best spellcaster. Not Kroak, not Teclis. That don't listen to your friend Billy Jim Bob over there. Nagash was the original god model that put fear into the hearts of mortals everywhere with amazing spellcasting. amazing bonuses to cast and unbind. You can break the core rules by casting a bunch of arcane bolts, charging up to somebody, and then shooting them off to start your combat phase and just doing like 8d3 mortal wounds or some crazy thing. And he can win games on his own. He can. You just have to protect Nagash with cheap bodies. He's in Soulblight Glaivelords, so that could be skeletons or zombies. In Ossiarch Bone Reapers, that's more Tech Guard or Archaon the Black, depending on how much you feel about Archaon the Black, as his little lackey wizard there. The spell Hand of Dust to just immediately yoink a model is amazing. It doesn't work on a Mega Gargant, which is why, again, they're on here to laugh at it's like Hulk laughing at the guy in Avengers going, "Puny God," which is why Mega Gargants are on here. But Nagash needs to be here because, this is the monster that, and God model that started it all, in my opinion. And that's also why I'm ending on Nagash here. Because it's just, he's quintessential for it. He does what he sets out to do, and he does it well. So what if he's like almost 1,000 points? When a unit's like 80 points for like 10 zombies or whatever, or 20 zombies. Yeah, okay, I get it. Dragons? That's right, there's more slides. So they totally exist, you guys, okay? They're just like my cousin's girlfriend in Canada, totally real. And your cousin's girlfriend in Canada, too. Mm-hmm. Yep, sorry. There's a mage one, and there's a combat one. Totally gonna be a great hammer. They're around 600-ish points. They're very late for a lot of good reasons in the pipeline of delivery, and GW can't do anything else about that. We can't do anything else about that. Dragons probably do deserve to be on here, as these named dragons are gonna be god level monsters. We just don't have the data of play to see and find out. And that is what it is. And an honorable mention here is Nurgle. So Nurgle, at the time of this video, is going to be getting a new book soon, which is why I didn't include any of their normal traditional god level monsters like the Glotkin. I probably didn't even spell that right. But we have Sassy Nurgling here that looks like a Thanksgiving turkey. Not yours. I'm sure you cook yours so much better. I'm sure you would have removed the larva from its belly button first. Mm-hmm. And you would have basted instead of letting the zits pop. You would have just sucked the... Anyway. Nurgle's probably going to have a few god level heroes and monsters. Like Rodigus should be up there. We don't know what the rules are going to be like yet at the time of this video. So I'm hedging my bets. And, in the comments in like 4 months when someone sees this and goes, "Rocco, why didn't you mention Nurgle because of the..." And I'm like, "Oh, did you see the end of my video?" And with that is our actual last slide. Thank you so much for coming to class today, students. Like, subscribe, comment. Who's your favorite god model out of all this? Did I snub somebody that you feel should have been on this list? Probably. I mean, let's be honest, I'm human. And as I like to say at the end of all of our videos, class dismissed. Bye.